This is why Americans are so fat, is because you buy a meal and it's enough to feed you for 4 days. Like, holy fuck, what is wrong with your country?
Oh, man. Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome, truly. Welcome to America, where things are better.
Yeah. This is the size of glasses that they drink out of in America. Oh, sorry. In America.
So we're heading out to LA tomorrow. We're going to meet up with Max.
Yeah, first thing, we're crashing with Max. Super shout out. You're super awesome letting us stay with you, Max. And, E3 starting Tuesday.
We're going surfing tomorrow.
Yeah, we're going to go surfing as soon as we get to LA. We're going to head to the beach.
There is somebody, hopefully he's in the chat.
Yeah, do you know what his name is? At least what his Twitter is?
It's like Zach something.
Oh yeah, Zach Zuck.
Zach Zuck.
Zach Zuck is going to teach us how to surf.
He offered to teach us how to surf.
Well, he didn't offer. We
asked.
He's like, we should meet up. I know you guys are interested in surfing. I'm a big surfer. So we're like, you should teach us how to surf for free.
Yeah, Zach Zukoski. So he said that'd be good.
Yeah. Hopefully he's got 3 surfboards, but I don't
Well, we could share one. But,
hopefully he's the same height as us, because that might matter. I don't know how surfing works. I just know I'm going to be super fucking awesome at it.
I'm just happy he's not 12.
Yeah, I know. That would have been...
I sent out that tweet like, hey, we're sure you can meet up with us. And I'm like, wait a minute. You're not 12, are you?
Hold on. Are you legal drinking age? Oh, of course you're not, because legal drinking age in America is 21.
Yeah, just how it should be.
You can vote at 18, but you can't drink until you're 21.
Voting should be 40.
What sense does that make?
Nobody should vote.
Nobody does vote. That's right. How Obama got elected.
Obama! I got Obama jelly in the fridge. Oh, wait, it's Obama jelly.
It's pretty much Obama jelly. Obama make the best grape jelly in the nation.
So, yeah, we don't have a plan for E3. I know we're staying with Max.
Yeah, staying with Max. We're going to do podcasts.
Hopefully every night. Max.
Hopefully Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Are you bringing stuff to podcast with? Because I don't want to lug all this shit with.
Yeah, Eric's equipment is pretty terrible.
It is not. We're on my new computer.
Whatever.
My computer that can actually run Diablo 3.
Arguably.
Yeah, arguably.
I haven't seen it run anything besides Twitch, so... And my mom's computer can run Twitch.
Yeah, point taken. So, the whole point of this show is to talk about Final Fantasy. I'm gonna call it 3
because you played it.
I played it as 3
on Super Nintendo.
You played it as 6, but
yes.
It's technically 6.
3/6, depending on if you care about the Japanese.
But if you go in the true lineage of the game,
yes, true lineage Final Fantasy 6.
Yeah, it is Final Fantasy 6, and then they brought it back to America as 3, and then that's when shit got fucked up.
Yeah.
For the line of things. I'd never played it before. I'd played pieces of it up through maybe South Figaro, and then
So like 2 hours in.
Yeah.
Well, 7 hours for Eric.
no, not
2
this
hours
time.
for most people.
Not this time. First time, yeah, it was. Fuck you, Matt.
An embarrassing amount of time.
He's gonna stop watching. Good. The chat's about to get less ignorant. No, so this time I decided to actually sit down and play through it, and I played through it actually on the Super Nintendo. I figured.
Which I'm super jealous of.
Yeah.
All the best glitches are still available on the Super Nintendo.
I didn't utilize any of those glitches, but like I said, I've never played this game before. Upon completion, it has actually secured a spot as one of my favorite Final Fantasies.
It's great. I think it's the best. I think it's the number one best Final Fantasy game.
The best?
Yes.
Really?
Better than 7.
No.
Better than 7.
Well, I'd give it better than 7, but I still think 8.
Better than 8.
Come on, you're killing me. You're absolutely killing me. So you probably understand. I plowed through this. I think I beat it in a shade under 30 hours.
Yeah.
I did probably 90% of the side quests, but I didn't level all my people up. But
I didn't come close to leveling any of my people up.
Storyline. Walk us through, like, what is this one about? Because a lot of Final Fantasies are, at least at that time, they were very simplistic in their story, and 6 was actually one of the first ones. Besides,
with like an in-depth story.
Yeah, super in depth. A lot of arching character paths. Different scenarios you can play through instead of just your one main character, your party of 4.
Yeah, so the storyline for this game is there's the Empire, which is Kefka and General Geshtal. They're
Emperor Geshtal,
sorry. They are waging war on the rest of the world of balance.
Which they just know that as the basic world.
Yeah, because they want to gain control of the world and dominate the world. And they're doing this through using Magitech soldiers, which is soldiers infused with magicite, which is what they call the magic in the world.
But magic has been gone in the world for 1,000 years.
Yeah, magic has been gone, and the Emperor found a cave, which leads to a portal, which leads to the Esper world, which gets him magicite and magic, and he harnesses that, infuse it into the soldiers, and they become super soldiers, essentially.
Yes.
So the game opens with Terra, who's a Magitech knight, who is arguably the main character of a game that doesn't have main characters.
There are some... Yeah, I guess.
In theory, every character is as important as every other character, except for Realm and Strago. Fuck them.
And I'd say fuck Umaro, too.
Well, secret characters don't really count. But yeah, so the game opens in the town of Narsh, where the Emperor has sent soldiers to occupy the city so that they can add it to their empire.
Yes.
The opposite of the Empire is the Returners, which is a group of rebels who are trying to stop the Empire from achieving their goals. And you're a member of the Returners if you choose to be.
You have to choose to be.
You don't have to choose. If you don't choose to become a member of the Returners in the first option that it gives you, it actually gives you a Genji glove at the beginning of the game.
You have to do it 3 times.
No, you say no once, and then you go back inside to the cave and talk to one of the guards. And he's like, oh, you should probably join us. Here's one of the best equipments in the game. Enjoy.
I did it 3 times and got it.
Yeah, you can do it either way.
Okay.
You can either say no 3 times, or you can say no once and then go inside and talk to him.
Anyway.
So
You get your ragtag group of people together within... You get most of the crew within the first 3-4 hours.
yeah,
But Terra, we find out very early in the game, is actually...
half human, half Esper.
Yes.
So she is a magical being that is destined to save the world.
Now, how did she become half human, half Esper?
Because
the war of the Magi was 1,000 years in the past.
Yes.
And that's the last time humans and Espers have had contact.
Yes.
So if her father was, you learn through part in the story, Maduin.
Mm-hmm.
And her mother, I don't remember what her mother's name was.
Madonna.
Madonna and Maduin had
They
relations.
They be fucking.
Yeah. They'd be fucking. And they had her.
So, the way it worked is she ended up... I think Madonna might have worked for the Empire and was part of the initial survey team that made it through the portal into the Esper world. Because...
Okay, so Terra's not 1,000 years old.
No.
Okay.
Terra was born pretty much the minute the Empire invaded the Esper world. And then...
That's right, they had that whole scene where Maduin and Madonna were sacrificing themselves to go through.
Yeah, in order to get Terra out so that she
The
wouldn't
thing
be
that
captured.
I didn't understand is that this seal for the Esper Cave was supposed to be 100% permanent, impenetrable.
It was impenetrable as long as the statues stayed aligned. The statues were...
But the statues were in the Esper world.
No, the statues were in the physical world.
Oh, okay. I missed that part.
Yeah. There were 3 statues. They were the gods of the Espers, essentially. And they were locked in eternal struggle, eternal battle. And in order to prevent themselves from destroying the world, they petrified themselves.
Okay.
In order to stop their war.
So the game starts out with Terra, this half-human, half-Esper, being controlled by the Empire.
Yeah,
coming into
brainwashed.
Narshi.
She had no idea who she was. She was captured by the Empire very young, so...
And the Empire hasn't seen a true Esper in 1,000 years.
Yeah.
And there's word that there's an Esper that appeared in Narshi. Yeah. So they bring Terra with them because they think that she has this connection with the Espers.
They think that she'll be able to communicate with it in order to gain it sympathy towards the Empire, so that they'll be able to control the Espers.
Yes. So then, through a series of events, she becomes free of her captivity, meets up with Locke, who's kind of like the Final Fantasy version of Nathan Drake. Treasure hunter, kind of...
Yeah, even though Nathan Drake is a douchebag and Locke is...
You just don't like the voice actor.
That's true.
So...
All voice actors.
I'm sure Locke would be voiced by Nolan North.
Probably. But Locke is like the quintessential returner. He's like battling for freedom and battling for all the little people.
Everybody has a really cliche goal in life.
Yeah.
It's very, very...
It's a JRPG from back in the day. Everybody's super cut out of the biggest cookie-cutter stereotypes you can imagine.
Yeah, they are the ones who can complete their quest, and it's the biggest thing in the world. But Locke kind of takes it on himself to protect Terra.
Yeah, to protect Terra and to bring her to the leader of the Returners to hopefully enlist her help in the war against the Empire.
And that's Edgar, right?
That's Bannon.
Bannon.
Yeah. He was the guy who...
Oh, he was the really old... Okay.
Yeah, who you played on the river.
Yeah, and then he kind of left.
Yeah, because he wasn't a character who was important to the story at all. He was just...
He was a throwaway.
Yeah. Just a little something to throw in to have... Hey, you look like you need healing for this section of the game, so we'll give you someone who can heal you.
Oh, it was... So they leave Narshi and they head out to Figaro. And they meet Edgar, who Locke... How did Locke and Edgar know each other? Because Edgar is the king of Figaro.
Edgar's the king of Figaro.
Who is misleading the Empire.
Yes.
Thinking that he is on their side. But he's really sympathetic to the Returners.
Figaro is the castle. South Figaro is the town.
And they're nowhere near each other.
South Figaro is the headquarters of the Returners' hideout.
Yeah. But you would think that a castle would be near its town? I mean, this is like half a continent away.
Well, the only reason that is because the castle can move.
And it has to be in a desert.
Yeah.
So why didn't they put the town in the desert?
Well, because you can't put a town in a desert.
They did in Ni no Kuni.
Yeah, but it was on an oasis in a desert. Because there was water, so...
Good point.
Towns always have to be near water. Pro tip.
Not down here. We just pump it in.
Fuck.
Bring it in from Colorado.
Good towns only have to be near water. That's why Phoenix is such the devil.
So Edgar, King of Figaro, he's the third main character that you meet.
Yep.
He's got a brother, Sabin.
Yeah.
And Sabin was supposed to succeed to the throne.
Yeah, because he was the older brother. He was supposed to be king. But when Edgar and Sabin's parents died, he went batshit crazy because it hints at it, but it doesn't really say it. the fact that the old king of Figaro was killed by the Empire. So Sabin...
Was he?
Yeah.
I didn't pick up on that.
Sabin went out to try and do something about it, and Edgar was left kind of picking up the pieces of the kingdom after the king died.
And then Sabin, in the process, turned into this steroid gym junkie.
Yeah.
And he's kind of your brawler of the game. So Sabin's the fourth guy you pick up. And then
after that is probably one of the coolest things that is in any RPG that I've ever seen. They actually split the game into 3 subplots.
Yes.
So
I wish they would have did more of that later in the game.
Yeah, that would have been super cool if they kept doing that. So essentially there's 3 storylines that are happening simultaneously that you can play out in any order you want. There's the Locke scenario, the Sabin or the Terra scenario, and the...
I thought Sabin went off on his own because when they jump off the
Sabin
river,
the Sabin scenario, the Locke scenario, and the Terra scenario.
But Terra has Edgar and
Bannon. Yeah.
Okay, and Locke has to go back and sneak in and do all that good stuff. But
so yeah, they all meet at the Returners headquarters and brainstorm all these ideas of what they have to do in order to stop the Empire, and then they break off into their separate subgroups, and then you play each of those missions.
Which order did you do them in?
What order did I do them in? I think I went Locke, Terra, Sabin.
I did Locke's last.
Really?
Yeah. I don't remember what each individual scenario is, but I think I did Locke's last. I did the first one that I did was the Terra one with Edgar and Bannon, and I found this glitch where if you're on the Let River, you can branch left, and then the next one you can branch right, but it just circles you back around. And if you have a turbo controller, if you just want to keep pressing A, you can just hold the A button and just go through battle after battle after battle. And I was just on the phone with some family members for like an hour and a half, 2 hours. I got out of there. I was an hour and a half, 2 hours into the game, and I was level 40.
Yeah,
just
it's
or no, level 19 by that time. And by the end of the game, I had only progressed up to 40.
It's actually one of the strangest little, because this game keeps track of a lot of interesting stats, and one of the ones they keep track of is how many steps you take in the game. Mm-hmm. Which
for what purpose? A lot of Final Fantasies used to do that.
No purpose. No, this is the only one.
Is it?
Yeah. Only Final Fantasy VI keeps track of steps. And
Why?
there was absolutely no reason. There was no reason for the game whatsoever to keep track of it. But you open your inventory, or you open your pause menu where it has like
it's right there above your money,
items, blah blah blah, all these other all these menus you can get into, and then at the bottom right it's money and then steps taken. And one of there's a bunch of challenges, like for people who have played this game a lot, like different ways to play the game. There's just to name a few, there's single character challenge.
The whole game, one character.
Whole game, one character.
How can you do that, though?
In situations where you're not physically able to do it because of the game.
Mm-hmm. Like the scenario splits?
Then you don't have to.
Okay.
But any situation where you can have one character, you must have one character. Like the final battle, you have to kill off everyone else in the first form and only do it with one character.
There's no way. That character would have to be level 99 with every spell.
Not level 99. I figure single character you could do it around level 50, level 60.
No way.
Yeah.
I was level 60 and I was still struggling.
Yeah, but that's because you're terrible.
Nah, I'm awesome at that game.
One of the other challenges is the Celis Edgar Setzer challenge, which is when the world breaks in half halfway through the game, you lose all your party members. You start with just Celis, who is one of the characters that you meet during the Locke scenario.
Yeah.
The Locke side quest. And when you start up in the world of Ruin, is what it's called, you have an option to go to all these different cities and regain everyone in your party. But there's only 3 people that you actually have to get in order to progress in the game. You start with Celis, and then you go to South Figaro to pick up Edgar, because the only way off the starting island that you get to is through South Figaro.
Yeah.
And then after you get Edgar, you go to, I want to say Collegan, but I'm not entirely sure if that's right.
It's where you go to the underground caves.
Yeah. It's where Daryl's tomb is.
Mm-hmm.
You go to pick up Setzer, who knows where to get an airship, and then once you have the airship, you can fly to the end of the game and be done. So, one of the challenges that actually gives you a different ending, which is super cool, and I didn't know that you could do that. So, the next time I play through this game, I'm totally going to do the Celis Edgar Setzer challenge.
What's the separate ending that you get? Do you know?
It's different cutscenes at the end. Entirely different cutscenes.
Huh.
But it only shows it for those 3, because you know how you had people missing? And it showed
I only had one person missing.
2.
Oh yeah, because I killed off Shadow.
Yeah.
Big fucking deal.
But yeah, it shows you different endings for those 3 characters, which I super want to see, because I had no idea that you could do that.
Uh-huh.
And then one of the other challenges is the fewest steps challenge, to try and beat the game with the fewest number on your step count.
What's the lowest you've seen?
I have seen people who say the easiest way to do it is you can get around 10,000.
What?
Yeah. 10,000 steps, game done. But
you have to know exactly where you're going.
You have to know exactly where you're going. You have to know exactly where to take shortcuts.
Yeah.
And but the thing is, if you do the lead river trick, which is level up to 99 on that loop, which takes about 3 days played time, 3 full days, so 72 hours of just grinding this one zone. If you do the full lead river trick to level 99, you can do it in theoretically around 8,000 steps.
Jesus.
Which is ridiculous.
That's...
Like, I think the game that I'm playing that I did not finish in time, I'm around 22,000 steps. And that's,
really?
Yeah.
I need to go back and look, because I was thinking I was close to 80,000.
No, there's no way you're that high.
No?
No.
I know I'm over 20,000 for sure.
But yeah, so
we gotta talk back to the story a little bit. The main protagonist in this game, I've always heard, is one of the most dynamic antagonist. I'm sorry, is one of the most dynamic villains of any Final Fantasy game, if not any RPG. So many people talk about Kefka as being their favorite Final Fantasy villain.
It's true, because he starts off at the beginning of the game as just like a lowly person in the Imperial Army. He's not that important. He's sent out to do missions.
He's weird. He's just kind of like that awkward dude.
He's
the guy that takes gerbils and breaks their neck. You know, just goofy.
Yeah, he's super messed up. He's the kind of guy who the ends always justifies the means. If he can, like, one of the early things he does in the game is the Emperor sends him to take Doma Castle.
Yeah.
And Doma Castle is garrisoned by a huge army, and there's almost no way that they're going to siege these people out. So the first thing Kefka does when he shows up is poisons their water supply.
Yeah.
Kills thousands and thousands of civilians, and he's like, what, no big deal? We're here to take the castle. We don't have to give a fuck about these people.
And in the process, he kills the wife and child of one of the main characters.
Yeah, he kills...
Cyan.
The king dies, the wife and the daughter of the main one of the characters
because Cyan
dies.
is the retainer to Domo, right?
Yeah, he's essentially the chief, the lead knight,
the captain of the Night Guard,
the captain of the Knight of Domo Castle.
And he knew that it was being poisoned, so he rushed back to the castle.
Yeah,
to prevent,
to try and save everyone from being
for such
poisoned.
An early type of game where storytelling was still developing. Like, that was a gut wrenching scene to watch.
Oh yeah,
I mean, being able to tell something like that in 16-bit, it's crazy.
And that's why I think this is one of the best Final Fantasies, because there's no voice acting except for Kefka's laugh, which is
terrible.
The best.
No,
it is so good. Anybody who's...
You can argue that there's kind of voice acting in the opera of Maria and Draco when they're singing.
But even then, they're not singing... They don't sing words.
No.
They just sing...
Is that how it sounds?
Well, in my head it is.
I just heard wah, 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 wah.
But yeah, it's all story-driven, and it's all text-based story.
You actually become involved with the characters, and there's... How many characters are there, including Secret? 14?
14 including Secret.
That's so many.
Yeah. Like, Final Fantasy 13-2, you have 2 fucking characters. GG.
No, you don't. You have more than that.
2 main characters.
Oh, yeah.
Everything
3.
else.
Mog.
No.
You can throw him. Mog.
You can throw him. He's a tool. He's not a character.
He goes Kupo every once in a while. But no, Kefka over the course of this game gets progressively more obsessed with power.
With Magicite and using Magicite to gain power. Because halfway through the game, the Emperor Geshtal, realizes that, using Magicite in order to enslave the world is going to end up destroying the world. So why would I want to be Emperor of a pile of rubble?
Yeah.
And Kefka is thinking, I don't want to be emperor of a pile of rubble. I want to be the god of the pile of rubble.
Because he knows that deep down, you can kill off as many people as you want, but they're still human nature is going to be there to struggle and survive and rebuild. And he gets his rocks off by destroying that.
Yeah, and he has a quote near the end of the game that's actually a super good quote, and it's, I don't remember what he exactly says, but Terra is talking to him, and she says, well, why do you keep destroying the world if you know humanity's just going to rebuild it? And he says something along the lines of, I just want to watch it burn.
Yeah.
Like the whole Joker line from Batman.
Some people just want to watch the world burn.
Yeah.
No, he's a really interesting villain just for... You never understand why he really does the things that he does and what caused him to do that. You're just like, this guy's fucking crazy.
Yeah, he's super evil, and the way that they portray him as a character, it's so good because you have to hate him. Like, there's not a single person who will be like, hey, I could kind of get behind that Kefka guy.
He's pretty good.
He's kind of cool.
He's just misunderstood. I don't know. He's very... I didn't like him, but he grows on you. I gotta open this window.
I think that window opens?
Yeah, welcome to America, where our windows open.
I was looking last night when I was sleeping with this fan directly above the bed, which, by the way, I did not figure out how to turn on.
There's a switch.
I know. Shut up.
So you slept in this hot baking room?
Yeah. I figured out how to turn it on today, so GG. Or no, it was during my afternoon nap that I didn't figure out how to turn it on. I figured out how to turn it on when I went to bed. Okay. Jeez. Anyway. But, I went to the window and went to try and figure out how to open it. And
windows slide.
So, fuck it. Whatever.
They slide.
No, and they crank. Crank or go open. Up.
Like those are windows from the 80s.
No way, those are windows from Awesome Town.
No, never.
Bah.
So halfway through the game, you're saying that Emperor Gestalt...
The Emperor realizes that...
There's no point being Emperor of nothing.
There's no reason of being the Emperor of nothing. But Kefka, who's promoted to General by this time, decides that he's going to overthrow the Emperor and take control. And he kills the Emperor and then essentially destroys the world. Because those 3 statues that we were talking about earlier that were locked in eternal struggle, the story was if they were ever moved out of alignment, that it would rip apart the world because they froze themselves in perfect Triforce synchrony.
And the statues were Espers at one point, right?
Yeah, the statues were the gods of the Espers.
Okay.
They were the people who birthed the Espers.
And they sacrificed themselves to lock the Espers away in their own Esper world.
Yeah, so that the world wouldn't tear itself apart.
Is the Esper world an alternate reality, or is it just like this dome inside the Earth?
I guess you could argue it's both, because the only way to get through it is through the gate, and the only way to access the gate is through magic, so...
Okay. So that at that point, Kefka goes batshit crazy.
At that point, Kefka goes batshit crazy, pretty much gets all the statues out of alignment, the world rips itself apart, and that's when the transition happens between the world of balance and the world of ruin. And that's where your party is flung to the different sides of the world, and
because they're all on the airship on the floating continent.
And then you have to spend the second half of the game gathering your party back together in order to attack Kefka in his tower.
And that second half of the game can be as long as you want or as short as you want.
Yes,
because you could go through and you can get to the world of ruin with a full. Can you get there with 14 characters?
You can get there with 12 characters.
12, because you can't get the 2 secret characters. No, you can get Go-Go.
No, you can't get Go-Go.
You get him in World of Ruin?
Yeah.
Okay. You can get there with 12 characters, and then you have to re-find all of them, and each one of them has their own scenario.
Yeah, everybody has like a little subplot as to why they don't want to rejoin the party, because like Tara's subplot
That's
is
fucking weird. Her subplot was weird.
Tara as a character is somebody she's been brainwashed her whole life because she had this collar on, essentially. It was like a circlet. It was like a brain control circlet. So her entire life she never had control of her own destiny. And when she finally was released from that, she finds out all about love and friendship and loyalty and all these other good things that are in every Final Fantasy game.
But she finds that out through taking care of like 15 orphan children who call her mom.
Yeah, because once the World of Ruin shows up and everything is fucked, she ends up in this town where all the parents have been killed off by the rampaging espers. And the only thing that's left is a handful of kids.
That's right, because when Kefka destroys the world, the espers go crazy.
Yeah.
And they get released into the world and start killing everybody.
Yeah, because all of their gods were defiled by Kefka, so they went batshit over that.
Yeah.
So Tara finds out that she doesn't want to leave all these kids on their own because who's going to take care of them? And there's a demon who's terrorizing the village that Tara has to fight off all the time. And
what was that demon's name?
Funbaba.
Funbaba. Okay.
So once you show up, then you can help her fight off the demon. And then once she fights off the demon, then she's able to regain her courage and come out after Kefka.
What I'm talking about, how it's weird, is if you talk to each of those orphans before you help Tara and take her away, they're talking about there's two other adults there. Another father.
They're not adults. They're teenagers.
Okay, so there's two other older people there, and I don't remember what their names are, but
yeah, I don't either.
The kids were saying like, this guy likes this girl, and then like you get this other kid that says he was hurting her, and it's this, you can tell because you're an adult and you know what they're getting at, but
yeah, he wasn't hurting her, he was putting his penis into her. Why is Daddy hurting Mommy?
She was screaming last night awful loud. But yeah, like that's just,
yeah, it's like
that was weird
for the game at its time, because this game came out
progressive
in 1994.
Yeah.
And, well, American version came out in 1994.
Mm-hmm.
And to have a scene like that was arguably only able to pick up, the older audience was only able to pick it up, right?
Yeah.
Because the younger audience would be like, oh, well, I don't understand.
I don't even think the younger audience would have made it to that point in the game.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, when I played it, the first time I played it, I was like 13. And I played it to completion when I was 13, so...
Well, you're just a cut above the rest.
Well, it's because I'm such a genius with this giant head.
Hats have always been an issue. And then, let's see, Tara's was kind of... Who was Celeste? Okay, I wanted to ask you about Celeste's scenario, because Celeste ends up on a deserted island.
Yeah.
With every Final Fantasy game, I shouldn't say every, but almost every Final Fantasy game has some iteration of a character named Cid. Mm-hmm. And usually Cid is just a monstrous badass. I mean, Final Fantasy VII, he's the captain of the High Wind. Number 9, he is the king, the Frog King, Cid.
Oh, yeah.
8, he's the headmaster of Balamb Garden. And this game, he's some old fuddy-duddy in a duck jacket.
Well, no, in this game, he's actually super influential, too, because...
How?
Celis was one of the Magitech Knights who we were talking about.
Yeah.
Who was just a regular person who was exposed to the Magicite and gained magical powers. And Cid was actually the leader of the research team that developed the Magitech technology.
That's right, because when you go into the Magitech research facility, he was finally awakened to what he was doing.
Yeah, he realized that, we can't use these espers. We can't enslave them for our own gains, and this is bad, and blah, blah, blah.
So is it ever really revealed that at that part in the game, I mean, that's pretty early, did Celeste lead Kefka and the Empire to the returners inside the facility?
No.
Kefka was just playing off of her?
Yeah.
Okay. And that kind of caused a division
because
between her and Locke.
When they were... Because the Returners broke into the Magitech facility, which is the research lab where they did all these experiments.
And they had as many espers as they could gather in these vials and test tubes.
Yeah, and the Returners went there in order to destroy the factory to stop the experiments. And then once you get to the main area in the factory, Sid shows up, and Celis and Sid have a conversation about how everything's wrong and going fucked up with the war, and we shouldn't be enslaving them, and we shouldn't try to control the world. And Sid realizes what's going on, and then Kefka shows up and says, "Oh, hey, Celis,
thanks for leading us here.
Thanks for betraying your friends and leading us here." And the only reason he did that is to sow doubt in the Returner movement.
Yeah.
The only reason he did that was to just try and fuck with them so that...
And it worked.
Oh yeah, it totally worked.
Because Locke always had that seed of doubt.
Yeah,
throughout the rest of the game.
He's like, well, I don't know about Celis because she used to work for the Empire and now she's one of us, but I'm not too sure. Is she really one of us?
But they could build that case for anybody, especially Edgar, because he was the king of an Empire nation.
Well, no, they were actively opposing the Empire.
Okay. But no, in her scenario, I mean, you start out with Celeste in the World of Ruin for some reason. Yeah. They give you Celeste, who... She's a very minor character in the first half of the game. But,
yeah. And see, that's the thing with the game, though, is because...
Your major characters are who you choose.
Yeah. Once you unlock a character... actually, once you unlock the airship, is what it is. You can take from your pool of characters and choose whoever you want to be in your team.
Yeah.
So, once you get to that point where you have the airship, then the main character is who you want it to be. So, my playthrough, my team was Locke, Celis, Gao, and Cyan.
Wow. I think I went with Edgar, Sabin, Cyan, and then I switched between Gogo, Mog, and Locke.
Yeah. That's basically what my team was for the first playthrough. Like, the very first time I beat it. The very first time I beat it, I was Terra, Edgar, Sabin, and Gogo.
So back to the scenario with Celeste. She's on this island with her. Sid isn't her grandfather.
No, but Sid is essentially her mentor because he was the one leading the Magitech research, and she was one of the first Magitech soldiers.
Yeah.
So they have known each other for years and years.
And he's always viewed her as sort of a granddaughter.
Yeah.
But they're on this island, completely alone in this little hut, and
Sid is dying.
You don't know that he's dying. He's in bed, and he's like, I don't feel too well, I'm hungry. So you have this option to go down to the beach.
Yeah.
And there are 3 fish at the beach. There's two super slow one, and one super fast one that's really hard to catch.
Yeah.
And if you don't know, you can just grab the first fish, go back, give it to him.
Yeah, because he says he's hungry, you go grab a fish, feed it to him.
And then he'll say either he's like, okay, I'm fine, or I want more.
Yeah.
And you go back down to the beach, get him another fish, bring it back until he finally says, I'm full.
Yeah.
But if you actively pursue... If you just get the crappy fish, Sid dies.
Yeah. If you either don't get the fish, like if you exit the building and go back in, that counts as a fail.
Oh, wow.
So the way it works is you need 4 fast fish to bump him up a level of health. And he needs to go up 3 levels of health in order to survive.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to go out 4 times, catch 4 fast fish, and bring him back to him to eat. Or you can just go in and out of the building 4 times.
And he dies.
And then he dies.
Huh.
So if you're just looking for speedrun, which is another one of the challenges, I actually watched a full speedrun of this game.
You actually watched 7.5 hours of it?
Once it was all said and done, it was 6 hours and 20 minutes, start to finish.
That's so fast.
Like, yeah, it took you just...
I was 12 hours to World of Ruin.
A shade under 30 hours. It took... if I would have finished it would have been 28 hours.
The difference is that I did everything.
Yeah.
I did absolutely everything except pick up Gao.
Yeah, and speedrun, this person who did it got all the espers and all the characters, and then finished the game. 6.5 hours.
No, but there's some goofy stuff that happens in that scenario. Sid dies, and then Celeste she loses her grip with reality and says, "You know what? I'm going to kill myself." So she walks up to this huge cliff.
Did you kill Sid?
Sid died in mine.
I saved him.
I didn't understand the first time I went out. Like, oh, a slow fish, and I grabbed it for him, and then I walked out. Like, okay.
Oh yeah.
So Sid died in mine, and then Celeste became super depressed, decided to go up to the cliff and jump off.
Because I missed all of that because I saved him.
Have you ever seen this part?
I know I have, but I don't really remember it.
So Celeste goes up there and she has this internal dialogue about what's happening and how there's nothing left to live for, and she just kind of throws herself off this super high cliff, lands in the ocean, and drifts back to the beach by the house. And apparently you pick up on this innuendo that a seagull saved her, a seagull wearing a bandana, and it's Locke's bandana.
Oh.
But she goes into the house, and this is what's really weird. She goes back into the house, and there's a letter at the foot of the bed.
Yeah.
From Sid, who's dead.
Who's already dead. GG.
And what's even stranger is that if you, later in the game when you get the airship, you come back, that motherfucker is still in the bed. Just hanging out, just rotting away.
Well, I mean, it's a deserted island. Who's going to move him?
I don't know. Birds are going to get in there and peck him away.
It's got a door. Birds can't open doors.
It's the world of ruin. These buildings have holes in them.
Yeah, I guess.
I thought that was a huge oversight with that letter at the foot of the bed.
You can't really call it an oversight, though, because it was...
Who wrote it?
It was plot-driven.
Yeah,
it needed to be there.
I guess.
But yeah, I saved him, and what happens when you save him is he's like, "Oh, Celis, you've been like a daughter to me. You're such a great person. Here, have my raft and get off this island and go."
That's what the letter says,
yeah.
too. Essentially is, there's a raft downstairs. Go take it to wherever you need to go.
The funny part is, in the speed run that I watched, you actually can skip all of that. You can, as soon as you get there...
You just go downstairs?
If you know where the stairs are, you can just go down the stairs, jump on the raft, and peace out.
Really?
Yeah.
That's the other thing about this game, is this game has so many hidden stairs, so many hidden walkways, treasure chests.
Yeah, there's... Like, one of the first caves you get to is the Cave of Narsh in between South Figaro and Figaro Castle.
Yeah.
And this was one of the first games to introduce the whole fact of, I know you see all these treasure chests here, but if you don't open them, when you come back to them later in the game, they'll be superpowered and you'll get better treasure.
Not me, I just opened everything.
So did I.
Like, alright, treasure!
I forgot about that when I did this playthrough, so I opened all the treasure chests and all that stuff. But yeah, there's a bunch of super hard to see side paths in the caves that if you happen to find them, it'll lead to a treasure chest with probably a super powerful item that you can use to most likely instantly kill the boss that you're about to fight.
Or a monster in a box that kills you instantly.
Yeah, but if it's a monster in a box, every monster in the box in this game drops an amazing piece of loot.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
The other thing that bothered me, too, is that I started to get used to this, and I would start to obsess over, okay, how can I get to that? But then you find out that the game purposely puts these little pockets of window that you can barely see off the edge. You're like, how do I get that? I see a treasure chest, or how do I get it? I want it, I want it, I want it. And then you spend 10 hours trying to figure out how to get to it, and there's no way you can get to it.
Well, there is a way, but you just don't actually know how. Like,
no, there are specifically spots in this game where you can see something, but you cannot get to it.
Really?
Regardless of how hard you try, you cannot get to it. Don't start the yawning.
I'm sorry, it's... The heat just takes it out of you, man.
It does.
But one of the best items in the game, and in all Final Fantasies, for people who play Final Fantasy, obviously is the ribbon. Everyone knows what a ribbon does. It makes you immune to all status ailments. You can actually get one in Locke's scenario right at the beginning of the game.
You can get one that early?
2 hours in, you can get a ribbon.
How?
There is... You know when you're underground, you get Celis, and then you're going through that underground area to escape?
Yes.
There is one of those hidden paths because there was a set of stairs that was surrounded by 4 walls that you couldn't get to.
Yeah.
There's a hidden path to get to that set of stairs, and down those stairs is a ribbon. So it's one of those situations where
that would be awesome to have it right away in the beginning of the game.
If you're the type of person who either, like, if you use a walkthrough and
I feel like
you know where it is,
I feel like this is a game that you need a walkthrough to really enjoy, 100%.
You don't need a walkthrough, but it helps you so much.
Well, you're going to miss a lot.
Yeah,
you're going to miss a lot of the characters. You're going to miss a lot of the little side plots, like Cyan's whole dream.
Yeah.
In the world of Ruin, he goes through this whole scenario where you go to a inn. I don't know what city it's in, but you have to have Cyan in your party, and you have to go to this particular inn, and you go to sleep, and you wake up, but Cyan doesn't. You get sucked into his dream, and it's this whole
alternate reality where he's battling the demons who are trying to possess his mind because he's so focused and hell-bent on the fact that his wife and kid were killed.
Yeah.
That he can't move on with his life. So these demons inhabit his body and use that hatred to try and take him over.
But then, at the end, it kind of gives him a little closure on his wife and child.
Yeah.
Because they say, you need to let us go.
Yeah.
That was a huge theme in this game, and it was really interesting because a lot of games don't, I don't want to say a lot of games don't, but at least at that time they didn't really touch on real world issues, and this one was drawing a lot on people's inability to let go of things. A lot of quotes came forth from stuff like your friends, your family, things that happened in the past. You just have to let them go and move on. And, because the world is destroyed, there's no going back to what it was.
Yeah,
and
it's ever-changing, and to hold on to the past is to just give up.
Yeah,
essentially.
Almost every character had some sort of issue they were holding on to in the past. I think maybe Locke didn't, but everybody else had some sort of...
Well, no, Locke had one of the biggest ones because his wife died. Well, not his wife, she was engaged to...
Oh, Rose.
Yeah.
But he brought Rose back, though.
No, she died.
Did you do the thing with the Phoenix?
Yeah.
Okay. She came back for a few minutes.
Well, and it's the same thing. She came back in order to give him closure.
Yeah.
And then she died again.
Okay.
But yeah, one of the coolest things about this game is once you do the World of Ruin and you reunite your whole party, there's a whole bunch of side quests you can do based on who's in your party. So if you have Locke in your party and you go to Narsh, you can unlock a bunch of doors that only a thief can unlock, and Locke happens to be a thief. Or if you go to Doma Castle and sleep, then Cyan can have his visions. Or if you go to Ebon Rock with Realm and Strago in your party, who the fuck would do that? Because fuck those characters. You get to have a side quest about a demon who Strago has been fighting for his entire life, and you finally get to defeat him. And there's just a whole bunch of little things like that just give these characters just a little bit more detail, more fleshing them out, and they make them that much more interesting, and they connect you to the characters that much more.
And that's one thing that really draws me to RPGs, and it's hard for me to do that with modern RPGs like Final Fantasy 13 and 13-2. They were purely story-driven, but I didn't feel as connected to these characters.
Exactly, because everything about the characters
is superficial.
Is spoon-fed to you.
Yeah. It's
like you don't encounter any of these situations with the characters where you actually feel for them and you're like, oh man, this is a cool backstory that they're only semi-referencing. Like anything in a new Final Fantasy game, if they're referencing it, you're going to have a 25-minute cutscene about it.
And then all of these... What's great about this is they allow you to infer what happened.
You're allowed to use your own imagination to
nowadays they'll say, I'm going to make sure that you understood that this person feels this way about that person. Rather than like, I wonder if that person likes her. It's like reading a really poorly written book. But these characters are easy to connect to because you don't necessarily know everything about them. And I like that. That was what was really engaging about it. But Strago and Realm, fuck them.
My next playthrough, I really want to use Realm all the way.
I stumbled into a goofy glitch when I was trying to get Realm. because you go into, I don't remember the name of the city, but it's the one with the big mansion in the back with all the paintings that you have to...
Thamasa.
Yeah, Thamasa. No.
Oh, no.
No, that's...
Jidor.
Yeah, Jidor.
Jidor has the painting.
I fell into a goofy glitch where I went into the back, and you're supposed to walk up the stairs and hit the lights, but when I walked in, the lights were already on, and...
Is that your cat?
Yeah, their paws are coming under the door. So I walked in. Look at that. Look at...
Oh, shit!
So I walked in. Lights are already on. And I went upstairs, looked at the pictures of the flowers. It's like, this is a picture of a petunia. It almost looks alive. And then it's supposed to come to life and attack you. And then you go in through the whole process of going through this haunted mansion to get Realm.
Not true.
But here's what I found out. I could not get those paintings to attack me. So,
because that's not the painting that's supposed to attack you.
I looked at every painting. Every single painting in there, I talked to it.
See, the way it works is it's the painting in the lower left corner, which is a painting of a
woman.
Of a lady.
Yeah.
And the only way you can get it to trigger is if you do the flower painting first.
I did.
So you do the flower painting, and then you do the lady painting.
I did. So I this is one time where I had to go and look up why can't I get Realm, and come to find out in the Super Nintendo version there was a glitch, and if you walked out of Thamasa from the west,
Jidor.
No, Thamasa.
Oh, really?
When you walk out of Thamasa from the west instead of from the south, it doesn't trigger one of the variables that's programmed into the game.
There was a lot.
So I had to go all the way back to Thamasa, walk in, and then walk back out, and I went back and instantly worked.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was the stupidest glitch because I wanted to get Realm just to have 100% completion or as close to it as I could.
Yeah. There's actually one glitch. I know it exists in the Super Nintendo version. I'm not sure if it exists in the PS3 and the PS versions.
Mm-hmm.
In one of the areas, I think it's in Cyan's dream, where you travel back to the caves of Narsh in his dream, and you're all in Magitech armor.
Mm-hmm.
The way the game works is it flags the lead character in your party as either wearing Magitech or not wearing Magitech for the sprite on the world map.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of that scenario, it only deflags the leader of your party. So there's this big hierarchy of characters who, if they have Magitech, all characters below them in the hierarchy can gain Magitech.
Mm-hmm.
So what you can do is switch the party leader during that scene so that everybody gets the flag to have Magitech armor. And then once the scene is over and your leader loses the flag, the 3 other people in your party will still have it. So that you can then use this hierarchy method to switch the leader between people who have Magitech armor and who don't have it.
For the rest of the game. And still have Magitech.
So the speedrun that I watched, at the end of the game, they had 14 characters.
All in Magitech.
All in Magitech armor. For those of you who don't know, Magitech armor is essentially
insta-kills.
No, it's only the sprites.
Oh.
It only shows them as walking around the world map as having it. It doesn't show them in battle.
Oh.
But what it is it's essentially like a mech warrior that you ride, and it does a bunch of cool shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's super cool seeing the end scene where they're all flying and fighting Kefka, and they're all wearing Magitech armor.
That would be pretty sweet. I want to talk about a particular scene that I had... like I said, this is the first time I've played it. And I've got this huge spot in my heart for Final Fantasy music. I have all the soundtracks, orchestral, piano versions.
Final Fantasy VI, amazing music.
Absolutely. And I went to, probably 3-4 years ago, up in Minneapolis, Minnesota, Twin Cities, whatever you want to call it, a Distant Worlds concert where the Stockholm Philharmonic Orchestra put on all this music from Final Fantasy, and Nobu Uematsu was actually there.
I think we talked about this on the podcast one time.
Yeah, we may have. But one of the songs that came on that everybody just lost their mind for was the Opera of Marie and Draco. Mm-hmm. And I had no relation to it. So when I finally got to this, I was thinking back to that orchestra, and how impactful this whole scene is, and how this opera that you're watching and partaking in is almost like a miniature version of the entire game of Final Fantasy VI in an opera version, minus the whole split of World of Ruin. It's like the love,
kind of.
Yeah, it's you can kind of choose who you want the main characters to be, because there is an obvious love interest between Locke and Celeste, and I mean, you can build a case for a lot of other people, but the opera scene is what really stands out as like the definitive scene of Final Fantasy VI for a lot of people.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know. There's something about that scene. It's just you don't see it coming.
No, it's just the goofiest thing to have in a Final Fantasy scene. Like, oh, everybody here loves the opera, and it's like, I'm going to go partake in an opera. And,
well, you don't even want to be a part of the opera. It's just Strago, no, not Strago, Setzer.
mm-hmm.
Setzer is the character who he owns the only airship in the world.
And he's a rampaging gambler.
He's an inventor and a gambler, and he loves just living life to his own whims.
Yeah.
So he gets it in his head that this opera singer, Maria, is the most beautiful woman he's ever seen, and he's going to show up to the opera house and kidnap her and marry her. Because that's all it took back then. You just kidnap a bitch and she's yours.
Well, obviously. You have an airship. Who's going to follow you?
Exactly. She can't get off it. It's
but then
flying.
you get to, what city is that? South Figaro? With Celeste? And everyone's like, oh my god, you look... No, it's Miranda.
Miranda, that's right.
Everyone says, you look...
You look just like Maria, the opera singer.
So they to get the airship, I guess, they use this whole opera scene.
They do like a bait and switch. They
shove Celeste in there.
Celeste takes the place of Maria, and there's actually a little side mini game where you have to memorize the lines of the opera.
Did you do it?
Oh yeah,
I memorized it.
Yeah. So the way it works is you go into the side room and you read through the script of the opera,
mm-hmm.
and hopefully you remember the right sections that it prompts you on when you get into the actual opera. Because the opera, there will be a couple lines of text, and then it'll stop, and it'll give you 3 options, and you pick one of the options, and if you're right, the opera continues, and if you're wrong, the crowd boos, and you go back off stage, and you have to start all over again.
You only get 3 tries, too, right?
I've never failed all 3 times, so...
I failed once because I didn't get up to the balcony fast enough.
Really?
Yeah, I was dicking around looking at something that had fallen on the ground.
I didn't even know you could fail there.
Yeah, I just didn't walk up there fast enough because it's all timed with the music.
Yeah,
which is really cool.
But yeah, it's another super cool part of the opera. Is just
if you get a chance, look on YouTube and listen to the Distant Worlds opera of Maria and Draco. It's 12 minutes long. Phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. It's actually one of my favorite Final Fantasy songs now. It's got the full opera singers in there singing the entire version of the song rather than just what's in the game.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's astounding. But the one thing that to me felt out of place in this game, I mean, this game didn't have a lot of comedy in it. It did have some comedic relief moments, but this whole concept of Ultros, the talking octopus that just shows up in random spots.
He was just kind of like...
He was a throwaway boss.
Yeah, he was just like a recurring boss character.
A purple squid that he just kind of eased you into the concepts of boss battles.
Yeah, he was one of the first bosses.
I think he was the first boss. On Let River. That's how your party got split up.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah. Was he? Yeah. Yeah, he might be the first. Yeah, he totally was the first boss. First official boss, I guess. Yeah. Because you do have that fight earlier where you're fleeing Figaro Castle because Kefka invades it, and you have Terra, Locke, and Edgar,
mm-hmm.
and you're running on chocobos. And there's a big scene where you can either fight these 2 Magitek who chase you and kill them, and then nothing happens, or if you use Terra and cast a spell, there will be this big long cutscene about how Locke and Edgar are like, holy fuck, this bitch can use magic.
What else? You were asking me something today when we were walking over to dinner. about, or maybe this was last night, did I choose the sword?
Oh, yes. One of the side quests with Locke is you go to Narsh and pick the locks, like I was saying earlier. There's 2 locks you can pick. One of them will lead you to a shield, which is cursed, and it's hands down the best shield in the game once you get it uncursed. But the way to uncurse it is you have to fight 256 battles.
Consecutive.
Not consecutive.
I thought it was.
It keeps track.
Okay.
If you unequip the shield, and
I understood it was consecutive battles.
The shield is terrible. It gives you.
It actually causes damage to you, doesn't it?
It gives you every status ailment in the game, and it gives you Doom, which is in this case with the shield is a 60-second countdown. Once it hits 0, you die.
Mm-hmm.
And other than that, it also gives you Confusion. So if you equip the shield, essentially you're going to be killing your own party the entire time until you die.
Yeah.
The way to counteract that is obviously to equip a ribbon.
Or Life 3. You
no.
could Life 3 that person.
Well, yeah, you could Life 3 them, but they'll still be attacking you up until they die.
Okay.
So the way to get around it is you equip Curse Shield on someone and then equip Ribbon on them. And then the only thing you have to worry about is the Doom factor, because all the status ailments are cured. So if you can beat every battle in under 60 seconds, then you're fine. But once you unlock the shield, you can learn Ultima, which is the best spell in the game. The shield will teach you Ultima.
But you can get Ultima another way, too.
Yeah, the other way to get Ultima is it gives you the option, you visit this weapon master who's an expert blacksmith. And he has a piece of magicite. And he can either give you the piece of magicite, or he can use the piece of magicite to forge it into a sword. And if you forge it into the sword, the magicite itself teaches you Ultima and has one of the hands-down best Esper abilities in the game. Did you ever use the Esper ability for it?
No.
It's called Morph. And you cast it on an enemy, and depending on which enemy you cast it on, it turns it into an item.
I thought Morph was just Terra turning into an Esper.
Morph for Terra is Esper, but
Okay.
there's also Morph for the Esper. Do you remember what it's called? That Esper?
Ragnarok.
Is it Ragnarok? Because the sword is Ragnarok.
Yeah, it's the Ragnarok Esper.
Ragnarok casts the Morph spell.
Mm-hmm.
And if you use Morph on certain items, you can get, or certain enemies, you can get super rare items. Like, if you use Morph on a level 90 magic
on the Fanatics Tower?
From the Fanatics Tower, you can get an Aura Lance, which normally you only get after beating Poltergeist, which was one of the last bosses in the game.
Yes.
So, you can get super high-end items if you take this Morph, but you can't get the best sword in the game, because the best sword in the game is the Illumina, which you get.
You have to go through the Colosseum.
You bet the Ragnarok sword
but
in the
if you
Colosseum.
lose,
if
it's
you
gone.
lose, then it's gone forever.
But any intelligent person would save.
And then, yeah.
The only time I went to the Colosseum was to get 2 more experience eggs, because I had 2 extra Tintin bars.
I didn't get any extra experience eggs.
Really?
No. I had the one, and that was more than enough.
I wanted to grind up my characters real fast.
But, yeah, the Colosseum is one of the coolest side quests in any Final
You can spend
Fantasy
a
game.
ton
You
of
can
time
spend
there.
a ton of time.
I kind of liken that to the amount of time you can spend in Final Fantasy XII doing the monster hunts.
Either that or Chocobo Racing in Final Fantasy VII, or Blitzball in Final Fantasy
No,
X.
I wouldn't say Chocobo Racing. I would say Chocobo Breeding.
Well, no, because in order to breed the high-end Chocobos, you still have to go through the races, right?
Yeah,
So.
to get the black and gold Chocobo.
But yeah, it's this. Essentially, it's a mini game that you have no control over, which is the part of it which I think is.
That's what scared me, because I threw Go-Go in the first time.
Yeah. So the way it works is you go to the Colosseum and you bet an item, and let's say you bet the Ragnarok sword. Then you fight a fixed enemy. It's always the same. With it, it depends on which item you pick, but it's always the same enemy. And then you pick one character to fight that enemy, and they fight one-on-one. Each time it's your turn, The person you pick chooses one random ability from the entire pool of abilities they can use.
It could be attack, it could be magic, it could be steal, it could be an item.
No, the way it works is it could be attack, it could be cure 1, cure 2, cure 3, bio, fire 1, fire 2, fire 3. So the more abilities you have, the less chance of just getting a regular attack off. So if you have somebody trained in all the magic spells,
you're probably going to get their ass kicked.
You're probably going to have like a 3% chance of just pulling a basic attack.
Jeez.
But the Colosseum has, through gambling, you can get the best items in the game. And the version that I played, the reason I used Gao in my party is because there was one item that you could get in the Colosseum called the Merit Badge, or the Merit Award.
I didn't use Gao.
Depending on which translation you played. It was one or the other. And what it did is it was an accessory, and you equip it, and it lets you use heavy armor and weapons on any character that has it equipped. So,
because who are the only ones who can use heavy?
Cyan, Edgar can use some heavy, and that's pretty much it.
Wow.
So, once you equip this accessory, Gao is a physical-only character. He's not allowed to equip weapons, but in the Super Nintendo version, if you equip this accessory on him, you're allowed to equip weapons on him, which is super broken because Gao already has the highest base figure in the game, which is your physical attack modifier, because he doesn't have weapons.
Yeah.
So you take a vigor of 80, and then you add a weapon on top of that, and all of a sudden your vigor is maxed.
Yeah.
You're hitting for as hard as you possibly can hit.
But he doesn't have the option to attack. All he does is rage.
So one of the rages you can use changes your vigor to a magic stat, because the way the game works is your attack stat can have a max value of 128. But your magic stat can have a max value of anything you can get it to. So
magic attack.
Yeah.
Okay.
So because this one ability called Stray Cat is...
I remember that one.
Is the name of the rage that transfers it. Because it changes physical into magic, if you boost his magic high enough, if you boost his physical high enough, and you break the 128, since it transfers it all to magic, you can go as high as you want. So you equip him with a certain weapon that has a 50% chance to cast an AoE attack on everyone. So if it casts that, it counts as magic. It counts as the magic stat of the character when it casts the AoE spell.
Okay.
So essentially, you equip him with the Offering, which gives you 4 attacks for the price of 1.
I thought those were all 4 physical attacks, though.
This counts as a physical attack, but is transferred to magic damage.
Okay.
So the way it works is you give him the Merit Badge, the Offering, the weapon that gives you a 50% chance of AoE, and then you have essentially a 100% chance to hit every enemy on the screen for 20,000 damage every time his turn comes up.
So basically, it's one hit kill. You
let
everybody's ATB come up, and you just skip to Gao and end battle.
Guaranteed, you can as soon as you have this, you've beat the game. There's no way you can be killed.
And how do you get Merit Badge through the Colosseum?
You bet an Imp Halberd, which
is very common.
Which gives you a Cat Hood, and then you bet that, which gives you the Merit Badge.
Okay. See, the way that I cheated my way through the game was the Vanish. I started with Vanish and Doom.
I regret telling you about this glitch.
I abused the shit out of that. So you can cast a spell that you're supposed to use on yourself.
Yeah.
And it causes you to be invisible, and they can't hit you.
Yeah, they can't hit you with physical attacks, but it drastically lowers your magic defense in order to counteract the fact that you can't be hit with physical.
However, there's a glitch in the game where you can cast Vanish on the enemy, and they disappear, which renders them unable to be hit with anything.
Except magic.
But when you hit them with magic, then they reappear. So you get
a one-time hit.
Yeah.
Guaranteed.
So if you vanish them, and then there are 2 spells you can use after that. I started using Doom, which is a programming glitch, I'm assuming. If you can vanish an enemy, you can cast Doom on them, and they die instantly.
Yeah, any enemy that can be vanished can be instantly killed with either Doom or the other one is X Zone.
Yeah, and I started going to that island in the World of Ruin with the dinosaurs who give you... I was using the Experience Egg, which doubles your XP.
Yeah, probably like 13,000.
It was about 8 to 10,000 per battle. Just vanish, X Zone, and if you have Edgar with what's the relic that gives you X magic?
The gem box.
The gem box. You can cast 2 spells, and if you have him with vanish and X Zone, boom, it's 1 character gone.
Yeah.
So you can use this on bosses, and there are 8 dragons in the World of Ruin, and every one of them can be vanish X Zoned.
Yeah.
So any boss, that was the first thing I did, was flip over to Edgar. Can you vanish him? Boom, X Zone, done.
Yeah.
And in Kefka's Tower, there was 13 bosses.
Yeah. And that's one of the coolest things. The end dungeon in this game, there's 12 or 13 boss fights.
Yeah.
In the tower, and I think 9 or 10 of them you can vanish X Zone or vanish Doom them.
It's a good handful.
It's a good
of
chunk,
them.
yeah.
I tried it on Kefka, didn't work.
Didn't work, sadly.
But
yeah, there's a lot of like super strange glitches in the game that the programmers. A lot of them, the programmers knew about. They just didn't physically have the time to go in and fix them.
Well, this game's so complex. I mean, Gao alone, every time you fight an enemy, the enemy goes to a place called the Veld.
Yeah.
And then the only way you can get new skills for Gao is going to the Veld, engaging in a battle, and then Gao goes and gallivants off with these creatures for a while.
Yeah, he does his thing, and then when he comes back, he
has learned their
gains
spells.
all the abilities of all the enemies that he left the fight during.
Is it all of the enemies on screen?
All the enemies on screen that he left during, and all the enemies on the screen that he returns during.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I thought it was only the ones that left.
It actually is a lot quicker than you think it is. But
every time you fight a new enemy and want to get their skills, you go back to the Veld.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to get back to the Veld once you lose the airship.
Yeah.
Because you have to go all the way through Barren Falls, and then you leave your ship at G-Door or some goofy-ass place.
But 256 is like a number that occurs multiple times in this game, and that happens to be the number of enemies in the game that you can get rages from.
You can get 256 different rages.
256 different rages. And
Jesus.
each one of them has 4 abilities. So you get, let's say you use the Brawler Rage.
Mm-hmm.
There's 4 different abilities that are used in that rage, and each one has an equal chance of being used. Some of them, like Stray Cat, which is why it's so good, has a 50% chance of basic attack and a 50% chance of the AoE attack.
Yeah.
Which is why Stray Cat is so overpowered.
Yeah.
But all of them have this. So essentially, Gao has 256 times 4 attacks that he can use during the game.
The next time I play through this, I think I really want to play through the Game Boy Advance version, because with certain RPGs, I'm very completionist. I want to get 100% of absolutely everything. And in the Game Boy Advance version, there's a menu where it keeps track of how many of the game's enemies you've beaten, how many of each of the characters' special weapons you've gotten, how many... It keeps track of absolutely everything. So I think the next time I play through this, it's definitely going to be the Game Boy Advance version.
Yeah. One of the other glitches in the game is... there's 2 stats. One of them is the dodge stat. And people obviously know what dodge is. Dodge is...
is it dodge or evade?
Either way. Dodge or evade. But it's physical attacks use the dodge stat, and then magical attacks use the M block stat, which is magic block. There was a glitch in the game that, for some reason, they didn't fix when they ported it over to the PS version. They fixed a lot of the other glitches. They took out the Gao glitch with the merit badge, so Gao can't even equip the merit badge in the PlayStation version.
That's a shame.
I'm not entirely sure if the Magitech armor glitch is still in the PlayStation version. I would assume that it's not. But the glitch that is still in it is a programming glitch that renders the dodge/evade stat completely useless. Every ability in the game is gauged off the M block stat.
Okay.
So physical attacks, instead of being countered by dodge are countered by M block. So any item that gives you dodge is useless, and any item that gives you M block is the best item you can ever touch. When Eric and I were beating it last night,
because neither of us beat it on time.
Because neither of us beat it in time, so we both used Eric's save file and kind of called it a team win.
Enjoyed it together. Yeah. I think your exact quote was, "Let me show you something before you hurt yourself."
Yeah, because Eric, he didn't level up his alternate characters enough.
Nah, not at all.
So
I had my crew of 4 was level 60, and everybody else was in the mid-20s.
Like the 20s and 30s. So Eric was running around just getting his ass beat by all these characters. So I'm just like, okay, let me show you something. So I grabbed the controller, and the thing is, there's a button in this game called Optimum Equipment. So
it's my friend.
You go to equip your characters. There's Equip, where you can choose whatever you want for each stat.
Yeah.
There's Remove, where you remove equipment from your characters, and then there's an Optimum button, which picks the quote-unquote optimum equipment for your character between all the items that you have. And for someone who doesn't... the only way to actually figure out what an item does in the game is...
Can I have some of this?
Go for it. The only way to figure out what an item does in the game is to go into the item menu, find the specific item, and then click on it again, and read what it does. So a lot of people don't do that. A lot of people will just use Optimum and say, fuck it, it's got to be the best equipment.
It's the best equipment for your battle power
and defense.
It doesn't take into account M block at all.
It doesn't take into account anything else. So I went and switched all of Eric's equipment around, and once you hit your cap of 128 M block, you essentially can't be hit by anything that
Shit got real easy.
Anything that can be dodged can no longer hit you.
Yeah.
Because dodges and magic attacks are both factored into the same stat. So Eric went from taking
12 to 1300 damage per hit.
Yeah, to nothing.
To about 40.
Yeah. To zero damage.
Even on my shit characters. My A team wasn't getting hit at all.
Yeah.
Missing. I think in the final battle, because Kefka's final form has what, 4 forms?
4 forms, yeah.
Never healed once.
Yeah. And my playthrough, I had 3 characters. I had Locke, Celis, and Gao were all max M block. And Cyan had max defense of 256. So his physical defense was 256, and his magic defense was 256. So he could still be hit by things, but it would do like 15 damage. So... It was just... If you know these little secrets about the game...
But that's the thing, you're not going to know that.
Exactly, you're not going to know. There's
Unless
no way...
Either you use a walkthrough, you have somebody tell you.
Yeah.
Because I never would have looked at M block.
Exactly.
What the fuck
like,
is M block?
Why would I go through an equipment walkthrough when I can just go through a game walkthrough, right?
Yeah. Yeah, because I was just going for, alright, here we go, Optimum. And it kind of pissed me off that they was never using the Enhancer, I think. Is that the lightsaber one?
The Enhancer is the lightsaber one because it has 20 unblock.
Yeah.
The ammo weapon is probably the one you're thinking of.
Yeah.
The ammo weapon is, you get it right at the end of the World of Balance, and it's a weapon that has a range of damage.
Mm-hmm.
It has between 40 attack power and 256 attack power. And the way it determines which part of the range you get is based on your health percentage. So if you're at 100% health, you'll get the full 256. If you're at 1% health, then it'll drop down to 40. But the way that the optimum equipment setup checks is it checks the minimum damage. So according to the optimum setup, this thing will only ever do 40 attack damage. So it's always terrible.
For the Atmo weapon.
Yeah. But it's one of the best weapons in the game.
Yeah. I can't think of any other little... Oh! Did you choose Odin or go with Raiden?
I took Raiden.
I think I took Raiden as well.
Which... Yeah. I don't even remember what Odin does. I don't even know what he teaches you.
Because Odin... That scenario was in the ancient castle, right?
Yeah, there's... the figure out castle, which we talked about earlier, which can move, it moves by burrowing itself down into the sand and then
moving to another desert.
Moving to another desert.
And then in the world of Ruin, they say, "Oh, we've hit something. You want to go explore?"
Yeah.
So you go explore, and there's this huge
underground castle,
and you find Odin's
magicite and another dragon to fight.
Well, and that's really cool though, because they give you this backstory of the queen of this ancient castle and her love affair with the Esper Odin.
Yeah.
And you get Odin's magicite, and then if you decide to just walk away and be done with it, you can.
I'm actually kind of surprised that, but you had the walkthrough for this part, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a hidden staircase that you can go and see the queen's chamber, and if you talk to the queen's throne, which I'm assuming her body is on, Odin's magicite responds to it, and you can either say, "Fuck you, I'm keeping him," or give the Esper over to the queen, and she turns it into Raiden. And doesn't Raiden teach you quick? I'm pretty sure Raiden teaches you quick.
Is it quick or is it? No. Oh no, it is. Yeah, you're right. Because
and if you
Crusader teaches you Murton.
See, I didn't get Crusader.
Crusader was the one that you get after beating all the dragons.
I never used it.
Yeah, you just never.
I got it 10 minutes before the end of the game.
Yeah.
Which to me seems pointless to give you an Esper at that point, because didn't it have a 1% learn rate?
Yeah.
But no, with Quick, you can. I found a way that you can kind of cheat the system if you give somebody the offering,
gem box,
and the gem box.
Offering and gem box.
Offering and gem box, and cast Quick on them. You can get 8 attacks at once.
Well, no, that's just Genji Glove plus offering is 8 attacks.
What am I thinking of with Quick? Because Quick instantly allows you.
I'm sure offering plus Quick would also be 8 attacks.
But what about offering plus Quick plus gem box plus Genji Glove? Because Genji Glove
let me think here.
Genji Glove is automatically 2. So if you put on gem box, that's 8.
But you can only get 2 relics. So if you're equipping
gem box and offering, Genji Glove is equipment.
Genji Glove is a relic.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Yes. So yeah, you cast Quick.
So wait, let's say you went Genji Glove. Let's say you went offering and Genji Glove.
Even if you do gem box and offering, if you cast Quick twice, shouldn't that give you 4 attacks at 4? So it should give you theoretically 16 attacks.
It should. And if you're using Sabin, or just anybody dual wielding,
you can't dual wield without
the Genji Glove. Yeah. But not everybody can equip Genji Glove.
No, everybody can equip Genji Glove.
So I was using Sabin, and Sabin was hitting for like 3,000-4,000 a hit. So if you got 16 hits with 3,000 apiece, that's game over.
Yeah.
But I never really put any of that to use. End of this game, what'd you think? Because I feel like we've covered. My God, we've covered a lot. I don't think I have any other.
One of the things I actually wanted to talk about before we move on to the end was the Espers have a level up bonus. So, depending on which Esper you have equipped...
I wish I would have taken more time to abuse this.
Depending on which Esper you have equipped, you level up, and you get a bonus with that Esper. So, Kieran will give you plus 10% HP.
Bismarck will give you plus 1 to strength.
Yeah, like there'll be a bunch of different
things.
things.
There are 2 that give you plus 1 to strength. One is one Fenrir. It's either Fenrir or Ragnarok and Bismarck.
But yeah, there's a bunch that do the same type of stuff, but Eric didn't abuse this at all.
No.
I abused the fuck out of this. Every single time I leveled up with my party of 4, like I kept all these numbers in my head. I'm like, okay, I'm 240 experience away from leveling up. I need to switch my Espers out so that I get the right bonus. My magic, Celis was my main magic user. My magic power on her was high 90s. And to put that in perspective, Eric's magic user was like 40-something.
That was after 30 hours.
And that was after 30 hours.
See, and that's the thing, is that they don't beat you over the head with how to use these espers. They say, here you go.
It's just
they don't even show you how to equip them.
There isn't even a tutorial at all.
So you can get as in-depth with these as you want, because once you equip an esper, they have a bunch of different spells they can teach you, and they're all at different learn rates. So some are like times 25, some are times whatever, and each battle will give you 3 magic points or 5.
It gives you magic points, and then the magic points
go towards learning that.
The learn rate equals how fast you learn a spell.
So some characters, if you want to be intelligent about it, you can say, Celeste is going to be my magic user, only going to give her things that
up her magic stat.
Up the magic stat, and then other people's strength. I was just kind of going the shotgun approach. You're like, hey, let's give you Madwin. All right, you're going to get Shiva. You're going to get Shoat. All right, you get Carbuncle.
Yeah, you get spells that I want.
Yeah.
So, but just to put it into perspective for you, on the drastic difference that this magic stat gives you, how many... When you were healing your guys in between fights, how many cures do you figure it took you to cure your entire party from 0 to full? Like cure
just
one,
regular cure
one spell.
15, 20?
I could heal my entire party from 0 to 6,000 health with 3 cure spells. 3 cure ones.
Wow. I was pounding through the MP. I didn't have enough ether or elixirs by the end of the game.
Like Eric...
What was that?
I don't know.
Wow.
Eric, when I was watching him play, he was just buying tincture after tincture and ether after ether. Those are the items that increase your MP in the game. And he was just burning through them. And I'm like, holy fuck. I am so happy that my M stat is so
sleeping
high.
Sleeping bags, everything.
Like,
pounding through.
Because gold hairpin plus my cure spell and my magic stat meant 9 MP would give me full health on my entire party.
Lucky.
And I would be like, okay, well, Eric, this enemy here is weak to fire, so hit him with a fire 3 and he'll die. And then Eric casts fire 3, it does 2,000 damage, and the guy's like laughing at him, like, holy fuck. So
then I just pull out Edgar with the quick on the double Ultima, and I bum rush with Go-Go and Sabin, and it's game over. So that's what's so neat about this, is there's so many different playstyles, and even playing through it twice, you're not going to get the same result in how your party plays out.
And that's the thing, though, because it has 14 main characters. Every character is a main character, essentially, because as soon as you get him, you can use him as your main character.
I always walked around with Mog. Whenever Mog was in my party, he was my main character.
I don't like Mog. He has everybody has a sub skill. So Locke's sub skill will be he can steal from the enemy. Sabin's sub skill will be he has blitzes, which are powerful martial arts attacks. Edgar's is tools, so he can shoot you with a crossbow or hit you with a chainsaw or drill your ass with a drill. Mog has dances, and the way you learn new dances is by fighting in an area that gives you that dance.
Yeah, it's kind of the same way Gao gets it, except it's locationally.
Yeah, so it's like a desert area will give you the desert dance, the water area will give you the water dance, the forest area will give you the forest dance type of thing.
Going back and getting that water one on the Let River without the airship was a bitch.
Yeah, arguably Mog's best dance is the water dance, and you can only get it in 2 places in the game.
And they're both super inconvenient.
And if you miss it, you can never get it again. Yeah, Leet River and Barren Falls.
Because getting it from Leet River, you're going to have a ton of walking to do regardless of where you park your airship.
Yeah. The fuck?
Hey, Hollywood. Your Clash of Clans shit's ready to go.
Clash of Clans, motherfuckers.
So, the ending of this game. Let's get to the ending of it.
Okay.
Everybody finally, depending on how many people you get together, everybody convenes on Kefka's tower. And they approach him, and he's achieved this goofy super god status, and basically you say, we're not going to let you do this. To which he replies, you're cookie cutter, puny human, whatever, let's fight. Mm-hmm. This is one of the coolest ending battles. I've played a lot of Final Fantasies, but this is...
The ending battle in this game is... Like, we talked about this earlier, there's 11 or 12 boss fights in the ending tower.
Well, let's talk about the ending tower for a minute. You have to use every character at some point in the ending tower, unless you want to try to cheat the system like I started to.
Well, you need to make 3 parties.
3 groups of 4.
Each group can have 4.
Mm-hmm.
So if you recruit all 14, you won't use 2 people. For my playthrough, obviously that was Realm and Strago. Just fuck those 2.
I don't know why I hate those 2, but fuck them.
There's something about them. They're just you get them at the same time. In the story of the game, you get them at the same time, and they both do the same thing.
All Realm wants to do is draw a goddamn picture.
They're both high magic stat people, low attack power, and they both have a gimmicky special ability that is never going to be useful. So you're only using them for their magic stat.
Yeah.
Realm actually has the highest base magic stat in the game. So if you're looking to build a pure mage and you want to put in the time, then Realm is your obvious choice.
No.
But
I just can't stand them.
It's not worth the effort.
So you put together this team, you land on Kefka's Tower, and it's kind of very early cooperative RPG where you can switch between your parties, and one party has to step on a switch that opens a doorway for party 2, who steps on a switch who opens a doorway for party 3, and then you keep switching back and forth. But if you haven't leveled up all your characters, I mean, you're going to run into some badass monsters in Kefka's Tower that can knock you out in one hit. So my go-to defense was, I initially started with, I'm going to put Mog in a team, give him the Moogle Charm, no battles whatsoever. It's kind of like in Final Fantasy VIII when you can get the 0 encounters.
Yeah.
Run him through to where he needs to be, step on the switch, then take my A team through, fight the bosses that I need to fight, warp out, and then put my A team in group 2, Mog in the next group that needs to move team 2 through, and kind of like half-ass my way through it. And that got really tiresome because you have to go back through the entire tower every single time. So once Kev showed me how to work with the M stat, I was finally able to kind of plow my way through. I mean, some of it still sucked, but using the Vanish X Zone saved my ass quite a bit. But yeah,
it makes a lot of really hard fights trivial.
13 bosses in the final tower.
So
13 or 11. Whatever.
Knows? So let's talk
including the dragons.
Let's talk about the final fight, because once you get to the final fight, there's a cutscene, and then you rank everyone who came into the party. So everyone who was put into one of your initial 3 groups, could be anywhere between 3 and 12 people. You rank them. So
is it only the people you brought in?
Yeah. So the first 4 will be the people who you start the fight with. And what the game doesn't tell you is normally when somebody dies in a fight, you can use life or a Phoenix Down or something to revive them and then heal them up and they'll be back to fighting form. In the final boss fight in Final Fantasy VI, if somebody dies, they're gone.
And they bring in the next squad.
Then they bring in the next person from your ranking. So your party starts with 1 to 4. If somebody in the 1 to 4 dies, the person in the 5 slot will move in to fill it in. So if you don't know that, and you don't game the system, Life 3 is a spell that you can cast.
Yes.
What it does is it sticks essentially what's a buff on the person, so that says if they die, immediately revive them. So Life 3 will bypass this insta-death that takes them out of the party. So if you don't know that, and you've only been leveling up a core group of people, and somebody happens to die, then you're going to be in a lot of trouble, because that person will die, and then your 5 slot will come in.
And before you know it, you're fighting with Strago and Realm.
Yeah, before you know it, you're fighting with Strago and Realm.
Fuck those 2. But
I actually think that is one of the coolest mechanics I've ever seen in a boss fight ever.
Totally.
In any game ever. Because the first time that I played this game, the first time I beat it, I didn't know about the Life 3 gimmick because I had no idea what was going to happen in the boss fight. So as soon as my first person died and the other one came in, I'm like, holy shit, what's
Life
going
3
on
these
here?
guys.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, well, Life 3. Because...
Well, and having Edgar or somebody with the gem box, you can hit 2 of them right away.
Yeah.
But, so you work your way through, you start off at the base, and Kefka's like this spire of bodies and dragons and
yeah, it's just a whole bunch of things that Kefka has absorbed in order to give himself more power.
Yeah, he's just kind of this amalgam of all of his parts that have made him who he is and what he's obsessed with.
And then once you finally get to the top of this tower, there's Kefka.
Easily the best looking sprite I've ever seen. Easily.
By far the coolest sprite. Essentially, he looks like an angel.
Yeah.
Like he's got giant wings.
Big purple wings.
Yeah. He kind of like a fallen angel, if you could imagine what that would look like.
Which is goofy because every depiction that you see of Kefka in sprite form, even the first couple times you fight him, doesn't look anything like his character sprite does.
No.
But this final battle, just after having you help me set it up, like I said, I took 0 damage. Just plowed right through. So if you set yourself up...
If actually somebody tweeted out at me when I was asking for questions, is how hard is this game compared to other Final Fantasies?
I think it's really hard compared to other Final Fantasies.
It's super hard until you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Once you know what you're doing, then the game becomes completely trivial.
I think
if you're playing the Super Nintendo version and you use the Gao Stray Cat glitch, then game's already done. If you use the M block stat, a lot of people who do the challenges that we were talking about earlier, they consider maxing M block to nullify the challenge. Mm-hmm. If you max your M block, then you're cheating and you don't deserve.
I think thinking back on it, Ultros is not the first boss fight. When you go to find Sabin, that's the first boss fight. The guy out front. And I think that's...
No, because...
what's his...
Oh yeah, that is before Elite River, you're right.
Yeah.
Because you go to Mount...
So... I don't know what it is.
Oh, that's gonna bug me.
But, I lost my train of thought. What was I talking about?
I don't know, you were talking about boss fights.
I don't fucking know.
What the hell is that goddamn...
I don't even remember what I was just talking about. I had a sweet point. Oh, well, whatever. You gonna look at the name of that mountain?
Yeah.
It's not Zozo.
This isn't even the right walkthrough.
That's gonna bother me that I can't remember what I was gonna say. Oh, well. Oh, that's what I was going to say. The learning curve kind of ends right there.
Mount Colts.
Okay. At Mount Colts, that's where the learning curve kind of ends. It's really steep learning curve up to that point. If you can get past that first boss battle, because who's going to think to level grind their characters for the first 5 hours of the game? If you don't level grind for at least 15 to 20 minutes, if not longer, you're not going to pass Mount Colts.
That's not true. Mount Colts is actually a timed event. If you survive... I think it's 2 minutes. If you make it past 2 minutes into the fight,
Sabin
shows up, and then you do one blitz technique and you win. No matter what it is. So essentially what you can do, if you guys are super underleveled, you can just defense the whole way. Because in the speed run, when you beat the game in 6 hours, obviously you're going to be running from a lot of fights. So you guys are going to be super underleveled.
Mm-hmm.
So what you do is you just defense your guys until Sabin shows up, and then you do a blitz, which instantly wins the fight.
Tack. See? That's tack.
Like I said, it's one of those games where
it's as hard as you want it to be.
If you know the secrets and you know how to get through it, then there's no challenge whatsoever. Like my playthrough, I died twice. Party wipe in Kefka's Tower because I was using a party that was drastically underleveled for what I was trying to do. And that's straight up the only reason why I died. If I would have taken probably an extra 1 hour to level up my extra characters, then there's no chance that I would have died.
Yeah. I think if you take that time to level your characters and play a JRPG the way that I think it's kind of an unwritten rule with JRPGs.
Yeah, is
level grind.
Level grind, for sure.
But if you take the time to do that, then...
Find a good spot and then just go for it.
The best spot, hands down, World of Ruin.
Dinosaur Forest.
Dinosaur Forest. It's just west of Triangle Island.
Yeah, and north of the Veldt.
Yeah. So only forest piece there.
It's actually kind of cool because it's called Dinosaur Forest because A, all the enemies you fight in it are dinosaurs, and B, if you zoom out on the world map, it actually looks like a Tyrannosaurus Rex head.
Does it?
Yeah.
I didn't pick up on that because you were telling me go to the forest that looks like a dinosaur head, and I didn't pick up on that. But yeah, best spot in the game there. No, so it's one of those Final Fantasies where it's as hard as you want to make it, but it's really, really enjoyable. I didn't play it for the level grinding or anything like that. I just kept going because, like, what's going to happen with these people and these people and these people, except for Strigon Realm. I didn't give a fuck. So, after the credits, it's... I don't know. They had some sweet stuff after the credits. I thought it was kind of a cool
the end
post-credit.
credits were actually real good.
Once you beat the game, it kind of flips into this post-movie credit storyboarding where it'll introduce the characters. For some reason, they decide to give the characters last names.
Last names, yeah.
You never know these people have last names.
During the entire game, it never references other than Edgar and Sabin because they're the king of Figaro, therefore their name is Figaro.
Yeah. But
other than those people, it doesn't reference anybody else having a last name whatsoever during the game, and then all of a sudden during the credits, it's like, Cyan as Cyan Garabonde.
Yeah.
Or like, whatever.
And then it shows this little clip of what's going on, and then I didn't save Shadow when the floating continent broke away.
So Shadow's ending, because normally where it would have like the clip of what happens to Shadow after he's running away from Kefka's tower. Mm-hmm. Instead, it just has a picture of Shadow and then just like a black screen of essentially where you find him the first time. So Gao will be the Cave of the Veld, because that's the first dungeon that you get after finding Gao.
Okay.
Shadow will be... I don't remember what Shadow's was, but...
All I saw was a picture.
Yeah.
And then where his thing should be. But then at the very end, they break down the fourth wall and say, and you.
Yeah. You're a part of the game. Good for you.
So, I'm going to see if we have any emails.
Yeah, we had that one question from... I'll give him a shout-out, because he was the only guy who tweeted me out with a Final Fantasy-relevant question. A friend of mine from back home actually tweeted me out with a stupid question about... If Jesus could microwave a burrito that even he could not eat, blah, 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 blah. Ben, Twitter handle Hazymat, shot out a question, and we already talked about that, how difficult it is compared to other questions, compared to other Final Fantasies.
Let's see here. I gotta log into the factory sealed one here. Oh. You know... I feel like we don't do this enough, but it's George Vosper's birthday tomorrow.
Who the fuck is George Vosper?
One of our followers.
Fuck him! I don't give no fucks!
Happy birthday, George.
Happy birthday, George.
I don't think we really have any other...
No, it's like, especially for a show like this, it's hard to come up with questions, because I'm sure a lot of the people who are listening have no idea.
Or did not play it.
Or have never played this game.
Because most of our show, we just do, like... an hour or two of the show.
Yeah.
You know, this show we were supposed to play Spice World.
I would highly recommend anybody who has access to a PS3 or, God forbid, an emulator on your computer, play this game. This is hands down, I think it's the best Final Fantasy game.
I'm not going to give it best. Because I think 8 is better.
Would you give it second best?
I'd give it in the top 5. I can't rank it because they change.
Okay.
It's one of the best. How about we leave it open-ended like that?
All right, one of the best.
One of the best. I think we should roll it out on the opera of Maria and Draco.
Are we going to sing it?
Fuck no. We're just going to play it, and then we're going to sit here and listen to it.
All right, that's cool.
I got to find it here. So, thanks for sitting here and listening to us chat about...
Yeah, we pounded out a solid 2 hours about Final Fantasy. That's crazy. I was surprised, and we had good dialogue.
We did. For 2 people.
Yeah.
2 people on a show. All right. So, we're going to be out on E3. We're leaving tomorrow morning, whatever time we get up.
Yeah, whatever time we get out of here.
We do have a camcorder this time. We're going to be doing a lot of video content. I don't know if we're going to post that every night.
Well, no, we're not going to post the video content every night. Hopefully, we'll get the podcasts up every night.
Yeah, hopefully.
But again, don't hold that to us, because we're going to be drunk and I'm on vacation. So it'll be up by the weekend for sure.
Absolutely. Follow us on. You can follow me on Twitter at Honest Pizza.
You can follow me, Dinner Dangles.
We'll let you know what's going on at E3.
Yeah.
All right. Opera, Marie and Draco.
insolent road, name of the western horde, would you address my queen, oh, be Maria?
Never shall you have Maria's hand. I would die before that day comes.
Then with you. This day is yours.